Shalom, Shalom Akim, all praises goes to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah, Bashim Kwakadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone. Salutation go out to the Akim out there pushing this word in all sincerity and honesty. On Brother Quara Island, through the Spirit, I'm going to get into a quick lesson. Now, as you see, I googled the word conscription. It says enlistment or compulsory, all right, which that means to compel, to force someone. Compulsory enlistment for state service, typically into the armed forces. Now, believe it or not, this is coming back. All right, this is coming back to be forced to join the American army is coming back, or whatever, the Russian army, the army of China, whatever. That's coming back around the whole world. Why? Because World War III is approaching. Okay? So in other words, that draft is coming. And I want to say especially to the so-called American citizens, because America believes that it won't be touched. All right? America has that proud spirit. Okay? Now, real quick, let me get down to these scriptures. Now, I'll get back to conscription. But it says here, 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as travail upon a woman and child, and they shall not escape. That's right, man, because, the Americans, but then all around the world, we have these treaties set in place you have these treaties set in place to basically keep the world in order and keep the world out of an arms race or any type of war. Okay, so for example, they have the INF treaty, the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty. All right, and that's between Russia and America. Now that's set in place so that these different nations and countries wouldn't go off developing nuclear missiles and nuclear weapons. All right, it says for this. So, but anyways, right? So they won't develop those nuclear missiles and weapons. But guess what? Those treaties are crumbling. They're folding up. Okay. Because why? It's in the end of the day, this is all prophecy. This is all prophetic. I read it again. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as travail upon a woman with child. Yes, sudden destruction. All right. Breaking news. Guess what? World War III is at hand. All right. Breaking news. Guess what? America and China is having tariffs and having these different tariffs, which is going to lead to another war. Okay, a world's war at that. Because these nations also form treaty with each other. Okay. It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. And that's also going into the people, the simple people or the sheeple living in America or living around the world, thinking everything's going to be okay. All right? America is going to be destroyed off the map by thermonuclear missiles. All right? There's going to be race wars, riots, famine, pestilence. This is Matthew 24 and 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Right? What's going on in Syria? What's going on in Russia? What's going on in China? Israel. Okay? So it says, for nation shall rise. It says, see that ye be not troubled. And that's talking to the elect men of the Lord's chosen men. See that he be not troubled. All right, the 1/3. Why? Because the Lord's going to protect his elect, man. The Lord's going to protect the 1/3 of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latino, Native Americans doing the works. You know, that know you the Israelites. Or the ones who know the truth and do the works according to the scriptures to the best of your ability. Yeah, that's right. That's talking about the Israelites. See that ye be not troubled. All right, but the rest of the world is going to be in shambles. It says, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right, going into these tariffs, man. You know, going into these tariffs. It says, for there shall be what? It says, for there shall be famines. All right. Now, if food is being if the price for food and milk and everyday essentials that you need to survive, if the price is escalating, how could you afford it with your day-to-day, your week-to-week check, all right, your minimum wage checks? It's impossible. People, as you speak, people are going homeless. The homeless rate is increasing. The unemployment rate is increasing. All right, so the famines is coming. All right, the food and the minerals are not always going to be deported from other countries. Okay, it says, and ye shall be hated. It says, and there shall be famines and pestilence, illness and sickness. Yeah, people are gonna be dropping dead. All right, people are dropping dead. It's so jacked up right now that Esau, the people you trust in, all right, they're putting these vaccines in you, and the vaccines really contain the diseases itself. So they're putting these diseases in you, and in doing so, they call themselves curing you. It says, so that the pestilence is going to fall. So all these are different, judgments. Basically, the Lord's going to have set in place for, wicked men. All right, the ones that say they're at peace, as according to 1 Thessalonians 5:3. All right, it says, and earthquakes in diverse places, and these are the beginning of sorrows. These are the beginning of sorrows. All right, that's beginning of sorrows, man. So where's that peace and safety? Where's that joyful spirit? The Lord said, look, this is the beginning of sorrows. Okay. And then when you go into the word conscription, again, it says what? Compulsory enlistment for state service, typically into the armed forces. You're going to have to go and fight for this country, man. They're going to draft you in. That draft is coming back, and they're going to draft you into the army to fight these wars, especially America, because everybody's at America's borders. Everybody's at America's. It's at the American border. Okay. So that war, is definitely coming, man. Ain't no doubt about that. All right. Um. Let me see if I can get another script. All right. In the meanwhile, I'm looking for another script, but in the meanwhile, I'll bring out something else. This is Second Ezra's 16. I'll start. No, matter of fact, 15, and I'll start 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. The one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. Slack, I started 14. It says, "Woe to the world." Second Ezra is 14 and 14. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein," which you can read the whole chapter. All right, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. All right, that's talking about the whole world. For the which woe means destruction. All right, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh." It's at hand. It's close. The sword meaning what? Destruction. All right, death. It says destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and that's going into those different armies, or slack, that's going into those different nations and different races. All right, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. All right. The word sedition means what? Uprising. Okay. Just to make sure, I'll look it up right now. The word sedition. So we know for a fact, the word sedition, conduct or speech enticing people to rebel against the authority of state or monarch. So I read it again. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. Right. So there will be sedition among men. All right, because people are gonna uprise. It's gonna be basically an uprising against the government. In other words, you won't have the mayor or the president, all right, or whoever's in charge, trying to control the people. But in the time of chaos, all right, the people are going to lose hope in you, and they're going to start uprising. They're going to start mobbing, rallying, against the government. And you can't tell me it's not going on now. Look at China. All right, that's a great example of the thing that's going on. Look over here in America. All right, Hillary came out to New York the other day, and you had them Haitians, which are the Levites in the scriptures. You had them Haitians rallying against her. All right, so it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes." There you go. So the police ain't gonna be able to do anything about it. Your authorities is not gonna be able to do anything about it. Hell, man, your police force, they might turn against you that day also. In the day, all they want is a paycheck, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So that's talking about the woes, man. The beginning of woes. All right, because not only is there gonna be a war abroad, but then there's gonna be war war and distress in the cities. All right, so this place is gonna go down from the outside. It's gonna be destroyed from the outside and from the inside, and then ultimately from those nuclear missiles. All right, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, and that's going into what, that martial law. All right, so these are the sorrows spoken about in Matthew's 24. All right, it says 24 and 8, and then continue second Ezra 15 verse 18. For because of their pride the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right, and men shall be afraid. So you're gonna have these mighty men. All right, these people. Some men trust in guns. Some men trust in their own bodies, their own strength. Some men trust in their martial arts, their knowledge. All right, whatever. Men shall be afraid. Okay, yeah. And what else gonna happen? You can get hauled off to them armies. You see the movies. You play the video games. All right. You got people. You see how men come back after war. All right, they come back committing suicide, strung out on drugs, paranoid. Ill. All right. Come back with all these different all these different illness, man, because they see so much bloodshed and horror, and it's coming again, and it's gonna be even worse. All right, I believe World War I, 9 million people died. All right. World War III, 60 million died. So it's only getting worse and worse. So World War III, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be plenty of deaths. And a lot of you Negroes, like Latinos, Native Americans, are going to be involved in that. Because you done bowed down to the so-called white man. All right? You done bowed down to this so-called white man. And you will give your life for this so-called white man. His Proverbs 21, I believe it's 21 and 11. Proverbs 21. If it's not that, I'll just quote it. 21 and 11. When the scorner is punished, that's not it. That's not the one I was looking for. But basically, it was when they join hand in hand. All right. Hand in hand. If I can find it, I'll find it, through the Spirit. 11 and 21. All right, it says, Proverbs 11:21. Though hand join in hand. Okay, so I had the wrong chapter. This is Proverbs 11 and verse 21. It says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Okay? And that's true, man. Though they join hand in hand, the wicked shall not go unpunished. Now, the wicked is a so-called white man. All right? But you have our people, so-called Negroes, like Latinos, Native Americans, the true Israelites, the 2/3 of you love the so-called white man. Believe and trust in him. And Esau, that serpent. But the wicked will not go unpunished. All right? So you're going to have Jake out there going down and being destroyed along with Esau, the so-called white man. All right? And through the Spirit, I'm going to end it right there. Through the Spirit, and I'm still praise goes to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Hashem Hakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth, And shalom to the Akim out there pushing this word, knows the city, honesty. Shalom.